I'll be joined now by Fodie Paul Oniel Kamara. Fodie is the chairman of People's Alliance for Reproductive Health Advocacy, PARHA, in Sierra Leone. Thank you so much, Fodie, for joining me on the news.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you. Now, let's go straight into the matter, Fodie. We know that one of the prevalent conversations surrounding the approval of this draft is the fact that the country has the highest maternity mortality rate. Now, how does this statistics come to play in the draft law approval?
Okay, when we look at the maternal mortality rate that I think captured in the 2019 DHS, that's the Demographic Health Survey, you see it as a small number. That is 717 per 100,000 live births. But let's assume within the course of 1 year, we have about 500,000 live births. You multiply that figure by 5, and that's not a small figure at all. It's actually not a small figure. And when we come back to that figure, that figure is just those that are generated from within the health facilities, the health facilities of both government and private health facilities. But there's a lot going on in our communities. There's a lot going on around unsafe abortion and maternal mortality that is not captured in those in our data in the health information system. And so we look at it that there is a lot to be done, around the trying to reduce the maternal mortality, because we've found out that one of the key drivers to the maternal mortality is unsafe abortion. And unsafe abortion is carried out almost every day in our country. It's carried out by both quacks as well as trained and qualified health personnel. But the situation of our unsafe abortion services is that even among the trained and qualified health practitioners, what they do is they don't practice it in safe situations. So that is worrisome, And when we look at this particular policy, the bill that we are trying to push to Parliament, we have been on this for over nearly 2 decades, because the journey actually started from around 2012, and by 2015 December, the Parliament passed the bill, it went through Parliament, and it was sent to the then head of state, a state house, for his accent. He sent it back, and after that, the Parliament again looked at it and sent it back to him. And by the 19th of February 2016, a memo came from State House with the bill that there are a lot of issues to address, and those issues, namely the title of the bill was one. It was highly contentious. The name abortion, the definition of abortion, when does life begin, and we look at they referred us to our health system. Yes, we were struggling with the health system, but that could not have been a hindrance to passing to the president accepting to that particular bill. And then we looked at the other condition in the memo about no nationwide consultation. So we tried to galvanize ourselves. We first approached the then Speaker and the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, then, that was in 2016 December, and for advice. And they advised us, because we knew that that bill would not have gone further because Parliament was coming to a close. And if Parliament comes to a close at that particular moment, whatever bill that was never accented or that had not passed, the process will have to start all over again. So by March, April 2017, we started our movement, and we named it People's Alliance for Reproductive Health Advocacy. We looked at the memo, and from the memo, we realized we had particular groups, specified groups that were actually opposed to our bill. So we looked at one, the Interreligious Council, as being key. And we decided, okay, what do? We need to approach these people with the issues. We are not going to talk about abortion, but we are going to talk about generic sexual reproductive health and rights issues that affect the entire nation. We made attempts from April of 2017, right up to 2019 January, before on the 31st, before we could get the Interreligious Council to talk to us. And when they talked to us, what we did was we presented data, we presented evidence to them, because for advocacy to reign, for advocacy to actually hit the nail, you need data, you need evidence.
So very true. Fodie, I'm so sorry because of our time. I would like to interject and ask you this question, right? Because you mentioned maternity mortality, and that would bring me to my next question, because, you know, there are lots of contradictory or controversial statements around that. So we know that, like you mentioned, some years back, there were struggles with health systems and health facilities, if I'm not mistaken. Also, you said that maternal mortality is not just caused by quack doctors, but can also be as a result of, you know, people who have been professionally trained. So bringing this now into a perspective, as we know, with this new amendment, we can say that one of the major determinant factor for this amendment that's approving the draft is because we're trying to curtail maternal mortality. So what is the guarantee that, you know, with all of these factors that have been outlined, there will be, you know, safer abortions or, you know, safer removal of fetus, unwanted fetus, and looking at the fact that you mentioned that there was some years back, there was challenges with the health systems. Is there any development in the health system? Is there something that can assure us that this wouldn't just be the same thing as, you know, what used to happen before?
Yes, there's great development when it comes to the health system now, because after Ebola, if there was not much development, definitely the COVID would have hit us harder than it hit us. But when we look at our health system and we look at the maternal mortality rate, developing a law, when this law is approved, we have guidelines and standard operating protocols that we have to develop that will be a guide to the way the bill is implemented. One of our challenges in the past has been we pass laws, but they are not actually implemented to the letter. But with this, we are already preparing a lot of the guidelines that will follow, you know, that will serve as a framework for implementing the proposed bill. And in that bill, you know, around abortion, we have three conditions. It is not a free for all abortion. It's not a free for all service provision. It's about three conditions. And one of those conditions is in a situation wherein the fetus is scanned and seen that it might not be any useful human being. Definitely, it's left with a choice to the woman. What we are saying is it's not mandatory that because you want to go and perform abortion, you want to secure abortion service, you should just go and do it frivolously. Okay. What we are saying is it should be a matter of choice. And right. So if it's about the threatening the life of that woman, then it should be left to the woman to decide that, yes, I want to carry the pregnancy, even if I die, or I want to secure the service.
All right, Fodie, I get your point.
About incest.
Yeah, I get your point. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry because of our time. I would have loved for you to expatiate on that, but because of our time, I would like to interject at this point. Now, my final question before we let you go is that, as we know, Sierra Leone's current abortion law dates back to 1861 when it banned the procedure unless the mother's life is at risk. Yeah, so, and this ironically is what the US is doing right now. That's overruling Roe versus Wade, if you're aware of that. Of course you are. Now, what would you say has led to this sudden change? Because since 1861 till now, abortion has not been permitted. So what exactly, were there some occurrences in, you know, recent times that led to this sudden change? Or is it just the need to review the Constitution and amend it?
No, it's not about just reviewing. You know, I told you earlier that this particular movement started, you know, over a decade ago, and that we had looked at all the data from the government books, the Maternal Death Surveillance Response Report, the RMSCAH, the DHS, you know, and a host of others, the mixed survey, you know, we looked at them, and we have seen that a lot of these things are happening unchecked and they are like people just going frivolously, doing it all by themselves, and the lives of our women and girls are at risk. So as an organized civil society, as a civilized civil society, we thought it fit that we should work with government to actually move on to address the issues, not only the abortion issues, but even issues around family planning, because one of the key factors that lead to the unsafe abortion is when most of our girls get pregnant because they don't have access to family planning contraceptives. So because of that, definitely they seek, the quickest way to get rid of the pregnancies because of stigma, the societal problems, the burden on economic burden, and a host of others. So
right.
it's because we are organized and we have seen that there is need for us to actually address as a nation. That's the reason for which we came together to move on this.
All right, thank you so much, Fodie. I really can't thank you enough for, throwing more light on that. I mean, there's definitely more insights now. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you.